Everyone, welcome back to Koil Kol Shira at the Young Israel of Woodmere, and we're doing this in partnership with Breslov.org. So we're continuing our hachanas for Purim, our preparations for Purim, to understand what was really going on behind the scenes and in the story of Purim. We discussed. I'll just tell you a few things. How Achashverosh set up the Suda, and what the purpose of, and what was the purpose of why he set up that Suda was because he wanted us to be nene, he wanted us to enjoy and to consume his food from his funds and things. He felt by doing that, it would disconnect us further from Torah. And he felt that the Gullus that we were in, right, was a 70-year Gullus, and he made a calculation that the Gullus was actually completed, and he wanted to make sure that there would be no way that we would possibly get out of this Gullus, because he liked being the king. and he felt that if he could do something to really make certain that we won't get out, so he made this big Suda. And at that Suda, we learned that Haman came up with the idea that they should kill Vashti, right? And why did he want to do that? Because he wanted to bring Vashti into the palace. Because Vashti, this is what we learned, I was just reviewing. Esther Amalka was the face of Klal Yisrael. She was the face of Klal Yisrael. And he felt if he can take Esther and bring her into the palace, if he can get her into the palace and defile Esther in the palace, means he's defiling the Jewish people so much more. Haman that was his goal, that was his plot, yes. And he did it, and it worked. But what he didn't realize was how connected Esther Malka was with Mordechai Tzaddik, and how Mordechai Tzaddik always knew exactly what was going on, and he had informed Esther Malka about the plot of Bixen and Seresh, right? That they want to kill the king, and that's really where the Megillah took the turn. That story when he tells over the story to Esther Malka, and she tells it over b'shem Mordechai. She tells over the story b'shem Mordechai. That's really where the story changes. It turns, right? The story we were in big trouble. Then Mordechai does something good. It gets recorded in the Sefer Zechronos, in their chronicles, I guess we can call it, right? The chronicles of Paras and Madai. And then we were learning further that how the Malach came when the sleep of Achashverosh was disturbed, and he couldn't sleep. He had a little insomnia, so he asked to bring the Sefer Zechronos, right? And how the one that was reading, the one that was charged to read from these things, was trying to open the book to something, but no matter what happened, he missed the book. It always kept coming back to the story of where Mordechai told over the story to save the king's life. And then we know that the Malach, the Medrash says, a Malach came and kept mushing it over to that place. And they read that, and that was the whole, that's really, so you see really, and then we were learning the whole thing that there's really tshuva, right? Because the Megillah was something brand new, right? There was no Megillah. Megillah is part of, right, we have in Torah, right? We have Torah, Nevi'im, and Kesuvim, right? Yeah. What's the Kesuvim? The Megillahs, right? Was Megillah, there was no Megillah's Esther. But Megillah Esther came parcel in Ksuvim when? Via this story. Because we made tshuva. Kimu Mashe Kiblu. It was the whole story. And that's why it's so important we learn to read the Megillah each year, because it's connected to each one of us. Every year it's Kimu Mashe Kiblu. We have to keep doing it. It's every year, B'chol Dar V'Dar. It's in every generation. We have to read the Megillah again. Why? Because we have to work on bringing ourselves back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and seeing how we can make changes, how we can turn things around for the better in our own lives. So let's continue now inside, all right? And so we're learning Likutei Halachos, Hilchos Purim, and we're up to halacha hey in Aleph, but we're doing letter hey. Everyone have it open in front of them? Hey? On the left side? Yeah, Val Kain Sarah. You got it? Yeah.
That's on the
maybe you have to turn your page. Let me see.
Here.
No, here.
Aleph and then...
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, okay. Betach. Okay, there we go. Val Kain Sarah Lechosva Davki. You have to write it down. Write the Megillah. If you write the Megillah, the Gemara Megillah says if you read the Megillah about Peh, you're not Yaitzer. You have to write it down and read it from a kosher cloth, right? V'im karal Peh. What happens if you read it about Peh? You know the Megillah story so well, and you can sit there and rattle it off with all the good, with all the trup and everything. Lo Yaitzer. Afshi kara mishum persumei nisa. V'ayadai leparsem aneis bal Peh. Listen, the whole story, what's the whole story of the Megillah? The whole purpose of the Megillah is to be mefarsim, to publicize the miracle that happened. So the question is, if you could say over the story by heart and get it right, why should you not be Yotzei if the whole thing is Parsumei Nisa?
Because he isn't reading.
Okay. Ach al-pi, masha kasavnu le'el. Shika Megillah nasa ayadei galus hastara. The Megillah is there to reveal what was hidden. Right? The whole Megillah, we know HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name is not written in the Megillah. Right? The whole thing is to reveal, to find HaKadosh Baruch Hu in our daily lives. Find Hashem in the Megillah. Right? Astar Dahainu. Ayadei shemachzirin umeshavin. Gam bechinas hastara, right? Right? Dahainu hastara achra, by turning over and revealing what it was, el mekoim visharsha, to the actual place where it started. Zeh bechinas haramas v'snases hayadayim shal yodam nases galus. So in other words, when you write the Megillah, can you print the Megillah? No. You have to handwrite it through the Yadayim. Right? It has to be only through the Yadayim. You have to write the Megillah. Right? The Sitra Achra attacks our hands. When we get up in the morning, what's the first thing we do? Maidani, then we wash our hands, right? Why? Because we know that the Tumah is Eiches B'Yadayim. The Tumah is attached, is bound to our hands. So by us washing our hands properly, the way Chazal teaches us to do, one, the way we do it, so we could remove the tumah from our hands. Correct?
Yeah, but there's another reason.
Right, no. So go ahead.
There's another reason which is very fascinating.
Amen.
It's like Machaya HaMesim when you get up in the morning. Right?
Avada, sure.
It's the tahira of the body.
Avada.
It's the tahira of the body.
Of course, but why the hands? Because the Gemara says that the tumah goes out via the hands. It doesn't say wash your feet. It doesn't say wash your feet. Wash your hands. Why your hands? Because the tumah is oiches b'yadayim. Why is the tumah oiches b'yadayim? Because there's such kedusha in the yadayim.
A nice connection to the idea of that kind of tumah, the whole.
The whole body.
You have the Chevra Kadisha. This is like the water.
Of course. No, what the Gemara says that sleep is a shishim. 1 second, Mike. The Gemara says that sleep is a 60th of death.
Right.
All right. Okay.
No, it's not good for you. No. Not good for you.
Now, Valkein hanocha shemis aneyach. Therefore, when you give that krechs, right? When you know, it is a very valuable thing. Is when you give a krechs, you go oi. What causes a person to say oi? What causes that? When you're missing something, you lost something, you heard some news, you heard something, whatever it is, because you go oi, right? Why do you do that? Because you're missing something, so it connects you back, right? So Rebbe Nachman teaches a very important lesson. Also is like this: if a person feels like, let's say you're middle davening, right? You're middle davening. And the next thing you know, you're thinking about the who knows what. And you go, wait a second. I was just paying good attention to the words. And what happened? What happened to me? What happened to me? How come I'm thinking about the baseball game? I'm thinking about the stock market or what have you. Or what have you.
Think about it today.
Or what have you. So he said, because the problem, where did that come from? If you really had the emunah on your mind constantly, that Hashem is in front of you, and you're davening, and He's listening to every word you're saying, so would you ever take your mind off of that? If you're standing in front of the king, right? You're standing in front of a melech bas of Adam, right? A king, a regular king. And you're talking to him, you're going to start thinking about something else and start talking. You won't do that. So he said, the Rebbe says like this, if you give that krechs, it disconnects you from the impurity and also connects you to the source of purity by giving a krechs. You ever think of that? Something holy by giving a little krechs. A Yiddish krechs. It's very good. And the person has a little charota. Regret, remorse. V'shov al darkei aron. He comes back. He makes the tshuva, like we were learning last week. If you went on the wrong path, the only way you can come back is if you make tshuva. You have to make tshuva to come back. Then you could raise your hands up. You could raise them up to Shemayim, and you can start to do the right thing. So the Megillah has to be written. You have to read the Megillah, even if you know it. You have to read it from a cloth, from a parchment. And not only do you have to read it from a parchment, but it has to be written by hand. It couldn't be printed on the cloth. It has to be written by hand to show the Adayim. The Adayim have the choice to be connected to Chas v'Shalom, the wrong things, or you could reconnect them to things of Kedusha.
That's the Adayim, so Amos.
Amos.
So Amos.
The tummy, yes. וזה בכינס כי עשה אל שמיים יודי ואמרתי חי אנוכי לעולם. Pasuk in Devarim. Isn't that a beautiful pasuk? Ki esa el shamayim yadi. If I lift my hands up to heaven, v'amarti, and I'll proclaim, right? V'amarti, I'll proclaim, chaya noichi li'olam. What I do, what's that mean? Chaya noichi li'olam. Chaya noichi zeh b'chinas olma da'asi. The next world is eternal. This world is a fleeting world, but the next world is eternal. Mikar HaChaim, and that's the source of life. What? I am Hashem that took you out of Egypt. You have the right hand and you have the left hand, and that's where the right hand is considered the yad of kedusha. The left hand is considered the yad that's connected to the other things. You have to lift them both up to Shemayim. You lift them both up. Okay. V'azai nase sham aydei devarim chadoshim v'nimtzach misham Torah gavoya miyod. So now the person was connected to the wrong things, and now he decides to connect himself to the right things. Yeah, got it? He connects himself to the right things. So now he's rewriting the story. He's writing his own life story again. You know, they say that after 120, everyone has a Megillah. And what's the Megillah? Is the Megillah their life. They tell over their life story. What we wrote in our own Megillah. Right? So now, we're learning that you could change the same way the faith of the Jewish people was one way, but it got changed because we made tshuva. So too, if we make tshuva, we can change our own Megillah. Our Megillah. It could be something brand new. From the Yadayim. Nimsa. Shebechinas ha-Megillah hi nasis me'adiburim shemekabla me'yadayim ha'yadei shemeirin oisam lebechinas tshuva olma dasi. By realizing that this world is the fleeting world, and we're really only looking to the next world. So Sham Shayrish Yadayim. Shayadei Zeh, next page, please. Mikablan Diburim Yadayim. You know, Jewish people, we always talk with our hands, right? They always make fun of us, right? Explain things with your right. Frag the Gemara, right? That's how we do things, right? So you make a brand new lesson. all of the things that we were doing wrong when we turned them over, Lasais Taiv, to make something good. And that's how the Megillah is written from this. Right? We started off, we were eating in the Suda of Achashverosh. It wasn't going very good. But then we made tshuva, we fasted, we did what we had to do, and then the story turned over to our favor. Therefore, you have to write the Megillah, specifically use the hands and write it. To bring the words to your hands, right? You're thinking the words, but when you write, you're bringing the words to your hand, and you're using your hand to write out the word, correct? You ever think of that? Amazing, right? To be makabelim from the hand. That's what it means to write this down. It should be a remembrance, b'sefer, in a book. Dainu milchemes amolek, right? The merames alagula, right? Next week in Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to read. We have the Parsha Zohar, right? Right before Purim, we do Parsha Zohar. Right? Remember the Maisa Amalek, right? Amalek came to weaken our hands, right? Kisayv Daika, write it down. Zikaron and remembrance, remember it. Specifically, Ki Melchames Amalek Nitzchayna Sheshov Nasa Mizeh Bechina Zikaron. The victory of, how do you win the war of Amalek? To remember it. To remember it. That's why it's Parsha Zohar. Remember what happened, so you know how to not get involved in that again. You bring it into writing. Take the thought from the mind into the hand and use the hand to write. To draw the words into your hands. And then you read it. Right, you wrote it with your hands, and then you'll read from what you wrote. So it's rhetorical. It comes in the mind. You use what your thoughts. You write it down, and then you read what you wrote. It says that the hands. Interesting, right? Look at the reference. The hands of Moshe were very tired. Kveda were heavy. Kaveh, they were heavy. They were tired. When it says by Amalek, like we learned last week, if the kol Yaakov, if we're learning Torah and there's the sound of Torah in the base medrash, so then the Yadayim of Esav are not so strong. They have no hold over us. But if the call of Torah is not so strong, so then the Yadayim of Esav are going to be very strong against us. The time when we're not learning and davening the way we're supposed to do, and we don't hear it, we return and we have to recalculate. We have to recalculate what we were doing and make a new cheshbon and figure out how to change what we were doing and tweak it to make it in a good way. To raise up the hands. Right, that's what it means to write. And that's why the halach is you have to specifically write the Megillah. So we find Nimsa Shatshuva Ha'aguna, the proper tshuva, haguna, tshuva that's proper, that's fitting. By lifting up the hands, Right, for Elu Baalei Tshuva. These are the people that come back to Tshuva. Yichtav Yodai Daika. What does that mean specifically? When a person reweighs what he has to do and he does it in a nice way and he does everything correctly, he rewrites the Megillah. So again, you have the thought in your mind. Here we go, just a review. You have the thought in your mind. You take the thought, you transfer it to your pen in your hand. So your yad is writing out what was in the mind, and then you have to read the Megillah. You reread the story again, and that's how you're making the tshuva from what you did wrong originally. And you could rewrite it by doing it. And that's what Mordechai Tzaddik did. Mordechai Tzaddik rewrote the Megillah for us. He wrote the story based on our performance. And that's the whole beautiful thing about the Megillah and how it really pertains to really each one of us. And that's why it has to be written by like an Igeris, right? You ever see when the Balkaira reads the Megillah, they fold the Megillah, right? Right? They don't unroll it. They unroll it and then they fold it up and they read it like that, like you're reading a letter. You're unfolding it and so on. Why? Because it's something fresh. You're not reading a story that happened in Paras and Madai back then. Of course it happened then. But every single year it's fresh for us. We should all be Mekabel the Megillah, Metz Hashem, in the right way, and to make Lebesuma. Well, do you want to just do Vav? Let's do Vav quickly. V'zeh b'chinas chayev enosh Lebesuma bePurim ad lo yoda. Right, all the liquor stores love this, right? Yeah. They love this, right? They plaster this all over the place. You're supposed to chayiv enosh, a Jewish person, is supposed to be intoxicated, right? You're supposed to become intoxicated. Ad de lo yada bein Avraham and levarach Mordechai. Now, does that make any sense? Did anyone ever think of that? What? I shouldn't know the difference between the curse of Haman and the blessing of Mordechai? Ki tzarech la'alais oz el b'chinas zikarim b'chinas zachar eis asher asol l'cha amalek el ha'goyrel to the goyrel ha'elyon. The goyrel, what's a lottery, right? We learned about the lottery, right? On Yom Kippur, right? On Yom Kippur there was a lottery, right?
Goats.
The Lazazel and the Sar Hashem, right? There were two goats. Identical. They have to be identical, right? But it was only the Goyrel, the lottery, that made that determination which one would be which, because they were identical, right? Shayrish HaGoyrel Shisham Kulei Taiv, that's all good. Ve'ein Shum Ra Klal. See, Haman, what did he do to figure out what month? The Megillah says, Hipil Pur. Right? He took a lottery. He made a lottery. Which month will he choose to be the month that he attacks Klal Yisrael?
It was the month that Moshe died, right?
Yeah, which was Adar. But he used the lottery. Mm-hmm. See, again, he understood the value of a lottery, how lofty a lottery is, because a lottery reminds us what Hashem really wants. When the Kohanim had the different mishmaros, right, in the Beis Hamikdash. So what did they do to figure out who would be which mishmar? They did a lottery. Why did they do a lottery? You do a lottery because whoever comes out, that's really Meis Hashem. The lottery shows who Hashem wants it to be. We don't know. If you do it honestly, of course, if it's honestly done. You just pick the thing out, so whoever Hashem wanted to be, that's who it's going to be. Make sense?
Absolutely right.
So Haman wants to do the same thing. I'm going to make a lottery. And I'm going to make a lottery, but I'm going to do it because I'm from the side of impurity, not the side of purity. That's what Haman's doing. So he makes the goyrel, right? Shesham kulei taiv. They ain't shum ra klal, because in Shemayim, there's only taiv. There's no ra. There's only ra is the sound found in this world. There's no ra in Shemayim. Only ra is over here. Rak mi shamu lamata mitzpatzel in shnei agarelas. Over here, it divides up into two different types of lotteries. Sheheim bechinas oru haman avarach Mordechai. So again, when you don't know the blessing, the difference between the blessing of Mordechai and the curse of Haman, what does that mean? You're connecting back up on high in Shemayim that you realize it's really kulei taiv. It's kulei taiv. And there's no ra, because really in Shemayim there's no ra, there's only ra down over here. And we should live our lives and have only taiv and Hashem. Thank you.